Pro-Israel voices claim that the killing of civilians, even on a large scale, is not enough to classify an event as genocide. As examples, they cite Dresden bombing during World War II and the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, none of which were denounced as genocide. How would you respond to that comparison?
Well, first of all, technically, even the Holocaust was not defined as a genocide, but as a crime against humanity. And the fact that Dresden, Hiroshima, and Nagasaki had been destroyed where they destroyed was also a factor in prompting the development of the international legal system that we have today. So that developed after that, in the sense you cannot destroy entire cities as vengeance. Vengeance should not be part of the lexicon of war. Protecting civilians should be a name. And this is, look, I don't dispute the argument that killing civilians is not enough to say that there is genocide. Killing civilians is a war crime. If it's systemic and widespread, so there is an intentional element, can be a crime against humanity. But if there is an additional element, which is the intent through these acts of killing, destroy the group as such, what does it mean, destruction of the group as such? The possibility to live as a group. And this has been done to the people of Gaza. It has been announced, it has been encouraged, it has been incited, it has been acted upon. And the goal was not the genocide in itself. Genocide is normally a means to an end, is normally the culmination of a number of crimes in a situation of conflict. I mean, you might have crimes against humanity and war crimes as part of the genocide, but this is the thing: the legal framework we have is so protective that has a lot of early warning mechanisms, and genocide should be prohibited, should be prevented. Not is prohibited, should be prevented. Instead, every Israel has been met with such a culture of impunity, that has enabled it to arrive to the possibility to destroy a people as such, with the aim kicking them out of the land. Isn't it something that has been done to the Jewish people? Think during the Nazi regime, because in fact, Jewish scholars, Holocaust scholars, say, document, and I agree that we do not understand, in as much as we in Europe have studied the Holocaust, we do not appreciate the critical components of it, because the Jewish people started to be genocided in the ghettos, where they were left with medical neglect or starving. They were put in ghetto as part of their isolation from the civil life. They were treated as a subcategory in civilized nations. In Italy, I mean, they were banned from civil profession in 1938 with laws of the state. So this is why I'm saying, my fellow Italians, it's not true that the genocide of the Jewish people happened away from our eyes. No, happened among us. And we just didn't see the Jewish people as equal, and therefore they could be treated as they've been treated. And then the concentration camp started to happen because it was difficult to eliminate it all. In the beginning, that crazy, awful, horrific man of Hitler and his accomplices and companions wanted to get rid of the Jews from Germany, because they were everyone who was Semitic, and the Jewish people were the highest number of Semitic people in Europe, were contaminating the Aryan race. So they had to be pulled out, and it was impossible to pull them out of Europe, because this is something that was realized when when the Nazi regime expanded to Eastern Europe. There were not just 500,000 Jews, there were millions of Jews. And this is where ethnic cleansing was very difficult. and the final solution came to be. So this is why I do believe that we need to understand what's the end game of a genocide, like it has happened in Rwanda, in former Yugoslavia. And it's clearly, so the common element is always hatred toward the other group, dehumanization of the other group. And here the Palestinians have to go. Smotrich and Ben-Gvir have said it in their electoral campaign. The Palestinians have three choices: leave. If they stay, they are subjected to the chosen people. They are under us. If they complain, if they react, they will be killed. These are the three options for the Palestinians. So it's very clear where it's going.
Given Israel's repeated disregard for international rulings, do the UN and the International Court of Justice still have real relevance?
It depends. I think that the UN are more necessary than ever. The UN as an organization is more relevant is more needed than ever in order to preserve the multilateral space that has allowed to prevent a third world war, for example, to preserve peace and stability. Although we need to underscore now more than ever that peace is not the mere absence of conflict. It's something more. It's something that carries value and values. I think that this is the worst moment, the worst existential moment for the United Nations since its creation. There is no going back to the world before. I mean, especially Western countries, Western democracies, so-called quasi-democracies, quasi-liberal democracies, they've lost their pretense of innocence in the past 2 years, because what Israel has been allowed to do to the Palestinians, this is not a distant memory for many, especially the younger generation. For them, this is the genocide in Gaza is memory in the making. They will not have the hope in the heart of those of my generation, for example, who have read what the Holocaust was on history books and promised themselves that this would not happen again. And they would do, I mean, I do have this inside myself. I have this deep sense of reacting to injustice, because injustice is a virus. It keeps on growing if left unaddressed. And I do believe that injustice somewhere is injustice everywhere. And now there are these two tensions. There is, on the one hand, the world order in the hands of governments, that it's very clear that the US is exerting, it has heightened and it has entered a new phase of its imperialism, its control, its dominance over the world, not just Latin America, but the Middle East. There has been a plan to control the Middle East for a long time. And now it's clear that through Israel, this is really happening. But what puzzles me and disappoints me is the reaction of European governments and African governments, because apart from a few cases, South Africa or Namibia, I mean, many are really already in the pocket of those who are destroying Palestine. They do not even react. I mean, on the one hand, there has been a penetrating Christian Zionism through Catholic churches into the veins of Latin America, Asia, and Africa. Christian Zionism is very strong, not just in the US, but in Europe. In my own country, I see it, but people are not prepared to identify that. You know, Zionism is immediately connected to the Jewish people, but as Eyal Weizman argues and articulates, Zionism is in fact, as a form of control over Palestine, almost predates the Jewish Zionism. So there is, it's interesting what is happening now. So there are people who are resisting, people who are protesting, and I do believe that in this tension, so the fact that people, ordinary citizens in Italy, for example, there is a huge wave of protest, strikes. It's beautiful to see, because they are also connecting Palestine to their own struggles, to how they are paying the price for the ultra-liberal ideologies that have controlled the countries, increasingly so in the last 20 years. And this unity of the struggles is a toxic mix for those in power who are crushing freedom of expression and freedom of assembly even more, but always in the name of Israel. So it's an interesting, but also such a dangerous time, full of potential, but still dangerous.